Dinosaurs and Chemistry. Unrelated? Well, not really. Here I have some children's toy dinosaurs. Take a look. Can you guess the link yet? If you haven't, it's polymers. Polymers are long-chain molecules made up of smaller individual parts called monomers. In Greek, poly means many, mono means one, and mer means part. So polymer is many parts, and monomer is one part. These dinosaurs are made from PVC, also known as polyvinyl chloride, and plasticizers. Plasticizers are low molecular weight polymers that are often used in PVC products to make them more flexible and durable, as the Amazon description boasts. They do this by increasing the free volume between the chains, leading to greater chain mobility and flexibility. There are currently around 30,000 chemicals that can be used as plasticizers. To form the mixture of polymer and plasticizer, the polymer is heated in the presence of the plasticizer, firstly above the glass transition temperature of the polymer and then into its melt state. This enables an intimate mix of polymer and plasticizer to occur, allowing polar interactions between the molecules to form. When cooled, the interactions remain and the plasticizer shields the polymer chains from each other so the network of polymer chains can't reform. However, this means that the polymer and the plasticizer aren't chemically bonded together, so the plasticizer can leach out into the environment, polluting it and leading into what we're talking about today. Phthalates are a group of plasticizers commonly found in PVC products. You may have already heard about them, and if you have, it was probably from all the news articles that were around a few years ago. If you haven't heard of them, then take a look at these news headlines. Scary, right? Let's talk about it. Phthalates are esters of naphthalic acid. They are sometimes nicknamed the everywhere chemical due to their prevalence everywhere around us in everyday life. They make up around 85% of the total plasticizers on the market, and this is largely due to the fact that they were the first commercially important compounds to be discovered for this purpose back in the 1920s, and they are incredibly useful. So, let's play a game called Would It Have Phthalates? Round 1. Phone charger. Would it have phthalates? Yay or nay? If you said yay, well done. Round 2. Water bottle. Would it have phthalates? Yay or nay? If you said yay again, well done. Third and finally, whiteboard. Would it have phthalates? Yay or nay? Yay again. You might be thinking, wow, is there anything that doesn't contain phthalates? And if you are thinking that, great, you're in the right mindset for this video, because the short answer is no, and we're going to be talking about why maybe that's not such a good thing. If you have heard of phthalates before this video, it was probably in the plasticizer controversy that was very big a few years ago. This came about when the media caught on to studies done on the plasticizers used in PVC products that determined that phthalates should be considered hazardous compounds due to numerous reports of toxicological effects. Scientists found that higher exposures to a plasticizer called DEHP were associated with sperm abnormalities and lower testosterone levels. Prenatal exposure was associated with adverse impacts on neurodevelopment, such as lower IQ, attention and hyperactivity issues, and poorer social communication skills. Some phthalates have been shown to damage liver, kidneys, lungs, and the reproductive system, especially in males. And DBP showed signs of disrupting insulin and glucagon signaling. They also determined that exposures are cumulative, and lower molecular weight products were more dangerous. However, all of these results were found on animal models. This meant that governments were hesitant to put regulations into place, as an expert panel said that there was insignificant evidence that these same effects would happen on human infants. Regulations take a lot of resources to put into place, enforcing them takes a lot of resources, so governments were hesitant to have to do all of that if there was no significant risk. It's very difficult to study the effect of phthalates on humans, as a very small amount could have an effect. These effects could show up later down the line, decades even, and epigenetics can have a big factor in this. It's a lot easier to study in mice, for example, because you can have many generations of mice in the time you would have one generation of humans. So you can study all of these things over generations and generations in the same amount of time. All of this is because phthalates are endocrine disruptors. Endocrine disruptors are chemicals that interfere with the hormonal system. In this case, certain phthalates can get into the bloodstream and disrupt sex hormone production, interfering with sexual development in infants and sexual behaviours in adults. It mimics estrogen, which can inhibit the production of testosterone. At an intracellular level, they can interfere with nuclear receptors, membrane receptors, intracellular signalling pathways, and they can modulate gene expression associated with reproduction. Even though these findings were only in animal models, people panicked, especially parents who were worried for their children. Children are more sensitive to many types of chemical exposures due to their smaller body size, higher metabolic rates, and developing systems. As many of the effects of phthalates are detrimental to development, this was a cause for concern. The main way children would be susceptible is through ingestion of the phthalates, as they might be putting toys in their mouth or touching things and then putting their hands in their mouth. So in the end, the government decided to put regulations on certain phthalates under UK REACH, a regulation which applies to the majority of chemical substances that are manufactured in or imported into Great Britain. As you can see, many phthalates are now either banned or controlled, regulated, but this isn't all of the phthalates that are covered by UK REACH. There are many more, and also many phthalates aren't covered because either they're not deemed significantly harmful or they're just, you don't need to cover them. The question now though is, what do we use instead? We have used phthalates for years and years and years, so now we have to find alternatives that work and are not harmful because we do not want to be having any regrettable substitutions. Unfortunately, regrettable substitutions do have a history and they are quite common, so we need to find something that has a negligible, if any, impact on people's health and quality of life. So that's all from us for now. I hope that you enjoyed this awesome video and I'll see you all soon. Have a great day!